Hey everybody, it's Rory from A&S Gear. We are upstairs with the VIRTUE NCharge battery pack. So this is a replacement rechargeable battery pack assembly for multiple different loaders that are out there. We've got the Spire up here, the IR up here, the LTR, the R2. That's not all of the loaders that it will work for, but these are a couple that we have up here so that we can open them up and kind of show you where they're going to go and how they'll go in and putting them inside. Now, the battery pack itself is a lithium ion battery pack. Depending on the loader that it's going into and how you're using it, you're going to get somewhere, they say, between 12,000 and 50,000 shots on a charged battery. On the battery itself, there is a battery meter. So if you push this button right here, there's a bunch of little lights that will light up on there. I don't know if you can see them on there lighting up, but this is showing that we're about 3/4% charged right there. So it's got 4 lights, 3 of them light up when I push the button. You've got your connector right here. This is where your power connector is going to go. And then you have a charging port. So USB charging port right there. Plug your USB cable in and plug it into whatever USB charger that you have. That cable is not provided inside here, but I'm pretty sure everybody has one of those, or 2 or 3 or 6 living in a drawer somewhere. So you shouldn't have an issue finding a charger for it, or a cable for that matter. And it's very tiny, very lightweight. This weighs less than the 3 batteries or however many batteries you're going to be putting into the loader to make it work. And then you've got various different wiring adapters right here. Depending on what kind of loader you're using, you might need to use a different little wire harness. And so we've got those inside here. Plus there's a couple different screws. If you have mounts that need to go on there, or you need to attach this somewhere, they provide that for you as well. Again, this is going to be for most setups. So we've got a longer wire, shorter one with some adapters on it, a really short one, and then we've got a screw, a nut, and again, they're trying to cover their bases for what you might need. So here's what we got here. Let's open up a loader. So I'm going to slide these ones over for a second. We've got our Spire 5 right here. I'm going to lift the lid. I'm going to pull the tray, and I'm going to flip this over. So on the bottom, we've got our battery tray for our 3 AA batteries. We've got our little battery Velcro right here. Since this doesn't have any batteries exposed to the outside, you're not really going to need this Velcro piece anymore. For this one, you can see we ran, or the wiring is run along here, under the front and around, so that when we go to put our wiring in for our new one, because we're not going to use this wire anymore, we're going to use the provided wire. We kind of want to run the wiring in the same general idea. So we're going to pass it through there and around like that. To do this on this one, we would take these 2 out. There's 2 screws that hold the tray in place. 1 and 2. We could lift the tray up and out. There's our little Velcro, and then we can disconnect the wire that holds that in place. Now the wire is hardwired into this setup right here, so you can't pull this out. You can't pop these wires out without ripping them off of there. So we can set that to the side. This is going to go right down in here. Now the 2 screws that come with this are too short. So we want to switch over to the longer screw that's provided that can go through this section here at the front where the little hole is. And then it'll come through the foam at the bottom and would attach that right down there. So we're going to go into that screw hole right there, attach that down into there. And at the same time, we would run our wiring similar to the way it was before. If you remember when we talked about it, when I pointed it out, that this wire ran, if I can get this to plug in real quick. They ran around like this, and then down underneath, and then around to the other side. And then that went on like that. And then we would come over here, we would plug this in like that. I'm just going to use my screwdriver to push that down in. Now you can see we've got all this extra wiring going on right here. So we want to make sure that we can tuck this or move it or put it in some sort of position so that when we go to put everything back together, none of this wiring is in any position where it's going to get pinched or crushed. So that's probably the one thing that you're going to need to figure out, to adjust, to move, to do something with, to make sure that it's in the right spot. And then again, depending on the loader you're throwing this into, you might need a smaller one. I wonder if this one would work right here. Let me just see this. I'm going to put this shorter version into here. I don't know if it will reach, but we're going to just see. We're going to see the length of it. No, see, that doesn't even want to make it there. So again, you'll go through your wires and you'll see which one's going to be the best for you, and you'll set it up. So that's real simple to do on that one. So let's move that over and out of the way. I'm going to save these two for putting this back together in a couple minutes. And then we'll come over to the IR2, what I've got here. So the IR2, pop that up, pop that up. IR2 is kind of the same setup right here. We've got our battery tray that's inside here. We've got screws to hold the battery tray in place. We've got a wire that's coming out, running underneath here, and then going through here and coming over to this side. So on this one, again, we would use the longer wire, but the wiring is definitely in a different path and different pattern. So if we lift up this little cover right here, you can see our power wire comes from over here, runs underneath our sensor board for our feed neck here, comes up along there and goes over to the end. So we would want to unscrew this. There are some wire tidies right here, like zip ties, boom, boom, that are holding this wiring in a place where it's not going to get out of the way and get crazy. You would need to snip those. Actually, you don't need to snip this one. You would just need to snip this side over here so that you can disconnect this wire and pull this whole thing out. Then you'd want to run it in the same general pattern. Pull this off, put your wiring in. You're definitely going to be using the longer wire and go from there and then replace your top right there. So putting this setup on here is not hard either. Requires a little bit more wire management, some cable management there, but easy nonetheless. All right. That and that. So let's move over then to an LTR. Put this one back together real quick. Seems I didn't take the battery harness all the way out of this one. We'll put it together quicker. All right, LTR. Move this up, move this up. Take that out of there. Take that out of there. So here is our, basically our motor housing and our motor tray right here. We've got our battery tray that sits up on top. And then we've got wiring coming off the side of our tray around here and plugging into there. So this would be where I would assume we would use this one. It's the one that's plugged in right there. Because it's going to be shorter and it's just going to come right over the top there. So for this, I'm going to take out this front screw. It's going to lift this up. And I can take that off. It's going to go right down in there. And again, this screw is going to line up with that. Now this screw, again, is going to be too short to go through there. So we would use the longer version that is provided to go through into this hole right here. And then, look, it's on. This one has been plugged in. So that goes in there. And then we would put that in. Yeah, you can see that spinning right there. Super simple. We drop that back in, put our screw in, drop it back in, put our drive assembly back together. Very, very easy to do. And again, getting that many shots out of these, it's a no-brainer. All right, so let's move this over here. I'll reassemble you in a minute. And then we've got our R2 right here. So let's get our lid off on our R2. R2s can always be tricky getting those off of there sometimes. And then I believe swinging this out, and then this comes up out of there. So here we've got our motor that's sitting on this side. We've got our battery tray sitting over here, and it's the same process that we just did on the other one. We're going to open this, go in here. We're going to take this screw out, lift our tray off. Got our Velcros, unplug the original one, come in with the new one, put our provided screw through, plug our cables in to here, put it back together. Simple. All you need to do is recharge it. You don't need to worry about having batteries in your bag, buying extra batteries. You just have to remember to charge it. And with everybody remembering to charge phones and tablets these days, this really shouldn't be another one of those things you have to worry about. So the brand new InCharge from VIRTUE rechargeable lithium ion battery pack fits all sorts of loaders. Fits the VIRTUE loaders. We've got it in die loaders. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that it'll fit in as well. But these are the couples that we know will work for sure. So pick up an InCharge so you're not replacing batteries all the time at ansgear.com.